And Iran continues to ramp up its underground warfare capabilities. During a visit to a military base in central Iran, the commander of the Iranian army's ground force said the country has drawn up detailed plans for 5 new missile bases. Adding, these new bases are already being organized. He, however, did not disclose the locations or specific details about these 5 bases, but the general made it clear the Army ground force stands ready to deliver a crushing response to any threat, anytime, any place, and at any level. This move marks another step in Tehran's increasing investment in asymmetric warfare and hardened underground defense infrastructure. But what exactly are Iran's missile cities all about? These are heavily fortified underground military facilities that store, maintain, and can launch short, medium, and intermediate range ballistic missiles. In fact, they form the backbone of the country's missile strategy, designed specifically to protect key assets from detection or destruction during conflict. Though the number of these facilities remains a secret, estimates suggesting that dozens are dug into Iran's western mountains, some as deep as 500 meters underground. In fact, these locations offer protection against airstrikes and from even bunker-busting bombs. According to Tehran, given the excavation footprint and logistical activity, such cities could be vulnerable to modern satellite and intelligence technology. The building of the 5 new missile bases is aligned with Iran's defensive doctrine, prioritizing survivability of its arsenal, especially from aerial threats. Since the start of this year, in fact, Iran has showcased its missile cities on several occasions. Just last month itself, the IRGC unveiled Iran's first underground drone base, housing hundreds of homegrown UAVs, including the Mohajir-6, a stealth drone equipped with radar evading technology and anti-jamming systems. The facility also hosts reconnaissance drones, loitering munitions, and intelligence-gathering UAVs. Back in March, Iran unveiled its largest underground missile city at an undisclosed location. Footage from the site showed vast stockpiles of ballistic and cruise missiles. And Iran has been showcasing its military prowess, especially over the past few months, amid the ongoing nuclear talks with the US over Tehran's nuclear program. Despite 5 rounds of negotiations, there has been no breakthrough, with uranium enrichment remaining a major point of contention. In a nationally telecast address, the Iranian supreme leader has said Iran does not need a green light from Washington or any other foreign power on its domestic nuclear activities. While earlier this week itself, US President Donald Trump said his administration would not allow any enrichment. Our next story is about the menace of deep fakes. It's about an extremely brave move by a New Zealand Member of Parliament. Her name is Laura McClure. You know what she did? She held up an AI-generated nude deepfake picture of herself to bring attention to and highlight the threat of deepfakes. This happened inside the Parliament, and she made it clear that the image was not real and that it took her less than 5 minutes to make deepfakes of herself. She wanted to demonstrate just how easy it is to generate such fake images and how real they can actually look. McClure wants that the current legislation that makes it illegal to share nude photographs without consent must include deepfakes. And she made it clear that the problem is not the technology itself, but its misuse and how the law needs to catch up. She highlighted how, for the victims, it is degrading, devastating, and how it gave her the creeps having to stand in Parliament and hold the photo of herself, even knowing that it's not actually her. It was a powerful, courageous way to make her point. McClure said she was absolutely terrified to show the image, but felt it was necessary to push for new laws to deal with deepfake abuse. And she is now backing a new proposal called the Deepfake Digital Harm and Exploitation Bill. Let's just tell you a bit about the bill. It would basically update the existing laws around revenge porn and intimate recordings, making it a crime to create or share deepfakes without consent. It would also give victims clearer ways to have content removed and seek justice. In case you're not aware, deepfakes use AI to manipulate or generate content to make it appear authentic. They are a dangerous tool for spreading misinformation and tarnishing reputations. They appear to look real, but they are not. Imagine having your face placed on someone else's, and that person could be doing just about anything. Sounds scary, right? Well, that's exactly why the MP did what she did, because deepfakes are scary. Imagine what a woman has to go through if this happens to her for real. While that courageous act deserves to be lauded also for the way in which it has sparked conversations about the dangerous menace of deepfakes, it does take a lot of courage to do what she did. The fact of the matter also is AI-generated fake videos are now becoming a lot more common, and that is a serious cause of concern around the world. According to a study from the non-profit Thorn, 1 in 8 American teenagers under the age of 18 personally knows someone who has had an AI-generated pornographic deepfake made of them. And 1 in 17 teens has been directly victimized by AI deepfakes. Can you imagine that? Multiple celebrities have also been the targets of deepfakes. Even children are not safe. Way back, a shocking report brought to light the threat posed by AI to children. The report by a US-based child protection organization made serious revelations. It said that child sexual exploitation is on the rise online. And what's even scarier is that AI-generated images are playing a part. As per the organization, some children and families face extortion demands over AI-generated photos and videos. Imagine children being seen in deepfakes. That children are also being subjected to this horrific act is heartbreaking. The fact is, technology is evolving fast, and one has to keep up. The laws have to keep up around the world. And let this moment be a launchpad for more aggressive action against deepfakes globally. Deepfakes are dangerous, and there is no option but to win the war against the menace. India's space ambitions just got a fresh boost. 40 years ago, Indian astronaut Rakesh Sharma dominated headlines as the first Indian astronaut to have made it to space. And now India is all set to send its second astronaut, Indian Air Force pilot Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, on its space mission. In what could be one of his most challenging missions, Shukla and 3 other astronauts will set off for space on June 10 at 5:52 p.m. Indian time. They will be lifting off in a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Kennedy Space Center, Florida. This is part of the Axiom 4 spaceflight mission. An 18-member Indian delegation led by the ISRO chief is already in the US, in fact, to oversee the final leg of the preparations for Shukla's flight. And this is going to be a 2-week-long mission where the crew will be heading for the International Space Station, about 425 kilometers above the Earth. India's Shukla will be the second in command of this American private spaceflight mission. The mission will be led by America's veteran astronaut Peggy Whitson as its commander. The 2 other passengers are from Poland and Hungary. Axiom 4 is a special mission for all the 3 countries, India especially, as it marks the return of its astronaut in space after 40 long years. Clearly, it's been a long wait to see another Indian make history as the first Indian aboard the International Space Station, or the ISS, and the second Indian in space. This is a big project for India, with the Indian government paying around $64 million for Shukla's training and flight. And during their stay in space, each astronaut will be carrying out diverse science experiments from their respective countries. They will also be making video calls to students from their respective nations. For India, the mission is a stepping stone to the country's own Gaganyaan human spaceflight mission, which is currently being readied by ISRO. And WION's principal correspondent, Siddharth MP, getting us more.
The challenge is that ISRO does not have contemporary human spaceflight experience. The first and only Indian astronaut to have flown to space is Rakesh Sharma, and he flew on a Soviet mission in the year 1984, which means for the last 41 years, India has not had an astronaut go to space, which is why the Indian government has paid the American firm Axiom almost 550 crore rupees or $64 million to undertake human spaceflight to the International Space Station. Shukla will be the second Indian in space and the first Indian to go to the space station. Shukla's experience will prove extremely valuable for India because he'll not just fly to space, but he'll spend 2 weeks on board the space station where he'll conduct various experiments and come back.
And the world's leading terror haven, Pakistan, is now chairing the UN Taliban Sanctions Committee, the very same Pakistan that sheltered Osama bin Laden and harbors dozens of UN-designated terrorists. WION Susan Tehrani tracking that story from the United Nations headquarters in New York. Take a look.
Pakistan, the known haven for UN-sanctioned terrorists, will chair the Taliban Sanctions Committee of the United Nations Security Council for 2025. It will also serve as vice chair of the UN Security Council Counterterrorism Committee. An unmissable irony, where a country that harbors and nurtures terrorists is being trusted to oversee sanctions on the Taliban and anti-terror discussions. Pakistan hosts the world's largest number of UN-prescribed terrorists and entities, turning their soil into a breeding ground for global violence. Hafiz Saeed, co-founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba, was designated by the UN Security Council in 2008, yet he continues to operate freely from Pakistani territory for years. Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, senior Lashkar commander, received UN Security Council sanctions in 2008, but continued his terror operations under Pakistani protection. Abdul Rahman Makki, Lashkar's deputy chief, has been sanctioned since 2003, while Masood Azhar, founder of Jaish-e-Mohammed, finally faced UN Security Council sanctions in 2019 after years of being shielded by Pakistan. Pakistan seeks terror validation based on UN Security Council appointment. Pakistan Prime Minister shares his glee hiding behind UN Security Council appointment, which is in fact a rotational thing. The ultimate proof of Pakistan's terror complacency is, of course, Abbottabad, where al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden lived in comfort for years, just miles from Pakistan's premier military academy. U.S. Navy SEALs eliminated the world's most wanted terrorist in May 2011, exposing Pakistan's role as a safe haven for terror.
In a move that's raising eyebrows by some, Pakistan now chairs the UN Security Council's Taliban Sanctions Committee for the year 2025, the same Pakistan that has long been accused by regional powers and independent watchdogs of harboring Taliban elements within its borders. Now it's in charge of enforcing sanctions on them. Islamabad will also serve as vice chair of the UN's Counterterrorism Committee, placing it at the center of key global security decisions at a time when its own record is under intense scrutiny. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.